Welcome to Couch Talk. Today we're going to be discussing a film that was released in 2013, published through HBO and produced through HBO. It's called State of Play by Trophy Kids. This documentary film, it outlines the journey of four families, and it follows the families as well as the children that are the parents who are deeply invested in the kids' youth sports. The documentary basically examines the hyper-competitive and often cutthroat nature of youth sports, which can lead to damaging effects on children's mental health, self-esteem, and overall well-being. Through candid interviews with parents, coaches, and players, the State of Play Trophy Kids documentary reveals the problematic and potential harmful parenting and coaching practices that prioritize winning over the development and growth of young athletes. The documentary shows the pressure to succeed can lead to anxiety, depression, and physical health problems, and can create a distorted view of value of sports within a broader human experience. Trophy Kids, as the title, refers to the idea that children are viewed as trophies to be won rather than individuals with unique talents and needs. The documentary exposes the dangers of this mentality and highlights the importance of prioritizing children's mental and emotional well-being over their success in sports. The kids that it outlines, it's four different sports, 5 kids, 4 families. One is Amari Avery, golfer from Riverside. She's 9 years old. The other is Derek Biel, 17-year-old basketball player from Redondo Beach. Ian Fox, also from Redondo Beach, basketball player. Then we have Justice Moore, who is from Duvall, Washington. He plays American football and he's 15 years old. And then it covers a set of twins, Blake Seward and Tanner Seward, both from Hermosa Beach. They're tennis players. Basically, what the documentary displays is this rigorous training and discipline that 5 children undergo in their respective sports under the guidance of their parents. Amari, for example, a young golfer, is pushed hard by her father, who envisions her becoming a successful LPGA player, the female PGA League, and becoming the family's breadwinner to make them money. Derek is constantly yelling at and Derek, on the other hand, is constantly yelled at and drilled in basketball with the goal of securing a scholarship to pay for his education, relieving his father of his financial burden. Blake and Tanner, who play tennis, are being pushed by their mother to become the world's top doubles team. Justice, on the other hand, as I mentioned, is a football player, and his father is tough on him to instill a strong work ethic and confidence to become a responsible and successful man. In today's society, youth sports become increasingly competitive, with parents investing significant amounts of time, money, and emotional energy in their children's athletic pursuits. This documentary, directed by Peter Berg, delves into this world and examines the impact and parental involvement of young athletes. In the first section, we'll be looking at excessive parental involvement in youth sports. For example, one parent, Steve, discussing with one of his kids, who is the basketball player Derek, he says in the documentary, in each shot, and each dribble, and each goal, that he is looking to guide Derek through this process and improve his skills. But he does it in a way that is not beneficial. Typically, in the film, these parents act like they're playing the sports themselves, when they're really just dictating how their children should perform. Parents should not live vicariously through their children. They should encourage them to do better and improve, but also learning that there is growth and value and teachings in sports. However, this is often the case when parents extend the control that they have over their other aspects of their children's life in the sport. For example, parents failing to achieve their own sport-related dreams and goals are likely to find themselves pressuring their children to meet goals that they're unable to obtain themselves. In these situations, it becomes difficult for a parent to separate the children's sport identity from his or her own. Jamie, displays the ability to separate her sports identity from those of her sons Blake and Tanner, the tennis doubles players. Jamie pushes her dream and religious beliefs onto her sons as the reason they should succeed in tennis. Quote, she says in the film, "My will for you, it's the covenant that I'm making with God on your behalf, is that you be number one in the world in tennis in doubles." She says it around minute 7:10 in the film. Jamie says this as an imposing religious belief on her children, who appear not to have the same feeling about religion that she does. This can be seen in the film when Blake and Tanner and Jamie are in the car and they're on the way to a tennis competition. While Jamie is saying a prayer for the boys to succeed in the tournament, the two of them somewhat seem disinterested in what she's saying. They don't engage, they're not necessarily reciprocating it, they just kind of lean their head down and go along with it. And when their mother is done praying, they both kind of smirk and smile as if they kind of think this is all a joke, or they're not interested in what she's pushing onto them. But she says further on in the film that she does this because she never did anything really great in her life. So her goal is that Tanner and Blake are chasing a goal of her own because she never was able to fulfill something that she thought was promising in her life. Also, pushing one's child harder can have damaging effects on them. Stress is likely to emerge when highly involved parents exert pressure on their children, and occurs when athletes reflect on comments about their performance for fear of letting their parents down. Another example is Andre, the father of golfer Amari. Talks about her golf. He says we, instead of referring to Amari, playing it as if it's a team sport, even though we all know golf is a very singular sport. It's a very mental sport. And he acts like he's playing on the green with her. He quotes in the film, "That's what we want to do all day, just hit balls straight. Hopefully it's not far off the green," which doesn't seem bad. But he then goes deeper. He says, quote, too far, that's the story of our lives, too far," as if implying some sort of family feud or something going on at home and bringing it into the spotlight and even into this documentary. This language kind of shows that Andre views himself and Amari as in the same in terms of her sports identity. He believes that he plays just as much of a part in Amari's success as she does, even though she is the one physically competing. Eventually, there's this boiling point in the documentary when Amari's in a tournament and her dad's cussing at her, Andre's cussing at her. He's like saying, "Fuck, why did you hit it like that? We're done with this, we're done with this." Quote, he says, "You need to stop, I can't do it, you need to stop." Basically not encouraging her and telling her, "Hey, it's okay, we got the next one." Take in mind, she's only 9 years old. But in return, you can tell that she's so overwhelmed that she then crouches down on the grass and starts crying, as if she doesn't want to be there. She's tired of her dad. Basically, what this all leads to is, rather than living vicariously through their children who participate in sports and focusing on winning as the only goal in playing sports, is the only thing that should be accepted in the outcome of playing sports, parents should rather be encouraging their children to have fun and gain positive benefits that come with playing sports. How a child reacts to the sport environment will be a direct reflection of what he or she observes from parents and coaches, meaning that this leads directly from the involvement of the parent or on how the parent perceives their performance or how they perceive the sport. If they're trying to have their child become a world champ, make money for them, they're putting all this pressure on this child who's, in this case, Amari is only 9 years old. A 9-year-old shouldn't be thinking about if they're going to be able to make enough money to support their family going on when they become older. This examination of the negative repercussions of parental involvement reveals that messages continually focusing on success and performance-based outcome establish an expectation in children that winning is the only relevant sports outcome. Instead, Parents should stress the importance of their children having fun through sports. When parent feedback is provided in positive light, the support perceived by parents can increase their involvement, perceived sport importance, involvement in the range of sports, and general self-esteem. Furthermore, children benefit from the potential for participating in a competitive environment that allows one to experience winning and losing, in addition to learning valuable lessons about sportsmanship, teamwork, and handling adversity. The type of parental pressure or support an athlete receives will often depend on the level of involvement the family has in sports. For example, parents with moderate levels of involvement create the ideal sporting experience because they are able to find a balance between the competition and enjoyment objectives from the sports participation. Secondly, we're going to be looking at the impact on children's mental health and self-esteem that was what we can interpret from the film. Mental health is the focus topic and media artifact towards the end of the documentary when Dr. Larry Lauer and Todd Marinovich sit down to discuss the movie Trophy Kids. They go on to say, optimal push is the means to helping children fulfill their potential without damaging their self-esteem. It originates from this initial feedback from children that receive either initially or after the child performs. Dr. Lauer discusses the importance of controlled feedback opposed to non-stop feedback. The controlled feedback essentially is dependent on having both parents having two different approaching styles to their children's performance. For example, instead of play, Justice was living with his dad and away from his mom, which had him resent his father in the long run because how aggressive he was towards Justice nonstop. Justice's dad later goes on to say in the film that all the technique in the world and no confidence. When asked by the cameraman, what do you think he needs to do to build up confidence? Justice's dad then replies, I have no idea. As if not even encouraging his young child to benefit or pushing him, he becomes super hard on him, very aggressive, and this leads to Justice later on not wanting to play football. So Justice then stops playing football and living with his dad altogether in the fact. So he stops playing football, stops living with his dad, and he says, I want to be happy and live with my mom in Seattle. Justice is the example of a child that was willing to give up his love for the sport of football in order to get away from the amount of pressure his dad was putting on him. Not every child can be taught or coached the same way. Furthermore, some kids can imbibe more of the aggressive approach from their parents than others, meaning that some children can feed off of this negative approach from their parents or their father or mother, whoever it is, but that's a very slim few. Not many are some already have their coach that are hard on them. You don't need the father or the mother, both parents in certain cases, to be hard on the child as well. This will not build confidence. It will not help them excel in sports. It's going to teach them a lesson of understanding losing and where you can go from there. The role of a teacher is to educate, nurture, and empower athletes, providing opportunities for personal growth and development. Positive feedback and reinforcement strategies have been found to have a greater impact on athletes. Optimal performance, satisfaction levels, enjoyment, and self-esteem. Sophia Jowett, a professor of psychology in the United Kingdom, discusses 4 interrelated constructs which include closeness, commitment, complementarity, and co-orientation. Furthermore, success has surfaced for the child Amari, even after being pushed extremely hard by her father. Amari is currently a collegiate athlete. She's a golfer at USC, and this was about a year ago. I think she was a freshman. And not only is she a top prospect to go on to be a professional golfer in the LPGA, but she thrived as a junior golfer, winning 4 titles at the Junior All-American. However, Amari did say, quote, if you talk to my dad now, he's grown more than anybody in the entire documentary, and we are closer than ever than before. But he still tries to hide his emotions in that sense. He's never literally said that he was proud of me, but I know he is proud. Lastly, parental lessons and messages that warp children's perspectives of sport and growth. Children's brains are in a constant state of development and maturation from when they're born until they're in the middle to late 20s and have developed into adults. Parental adult lessons and messages that are taught at a young age can warp a child's perspective of life and be the foundation of values and virtues that they build and take with them for the rest of their lives. Certain messages and lessons that are imposed on children by their parents in this film can and did warp children's perspective of sport and growth in their own human experience. Parental influence can also produce detrimental results when parental pressures involve messages that continually focus on success and foster improper and impossible expectations of a child. Ego building involves instances where parents' natural instinct is to wish for their children's success in their respective sport, often producing a curvilinear relationship with a child's stress and parental involvement. Parents guide their children through teaching them lessons. These messages can often be positive of influence, but certain interactions in the film in State of Play carry a negative connotation and message that can lead to problems in their development and growth in the human experience. In conclusion, Trophy Kids State of Play brings to light the disturbing reality of youth sports, where excessive parental involvement can have damaging and long-lasting effects on children's mental health, confidence, and growth. The film's portrayal of the four families and their children's experiences serves as a cautionary tale for parents and coaches alike, emphasizing the importance of prioritizing children's well-being and development over winning at all costs. Parents and coaches must recognize the importance and impact they have on their children's lives and the importance of nurturing their physical and emotional well-being rather than prioritizing their own egos and desires. By adopting a more balanced and healthy approach to youth sports, we can ensure that our children both flourish on and off the field. So this closes our discussion and analyzation of State of Play Trophy Kids. If you're too involved, if you're too hard on your children, especially at a very young age, it could be very detrimental. Be hard on them in the sense that you want them to improve, you want them to get better, show them what hard work is, what confidence is, what work ethic is. Teach them all that. But don't be consistently nagging them or berating them because they didn't perform at a level in which you wanted to perform, or maybe you thought at that age that you could have performed better. It's a different thing. You can't compare apples to apples. So, with that note, we're going to close off the first episode of Couch Talk. Thank you so much. My name is Lorenzo Ceresoli, and I will see you next week.